I'm joined by the main man of the whole meeting, Bill Donovan of the USA. Currently, Bill, would you say you're Florida or Massachusetts?
Oh, definitely I'm Florida.
Florida most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, as I say, Bill, trucking in the trucking business in America, one-time harness racing caretaker, breeder, owner, businessman, benefactor, frequent visitor to Ireland. You wear many hats, Bill.
I do.
Do. Well, as I say, well, you'll be pleased to know, Bill, this has been beamed to the big screen in what the Americans call the infield at Portmarnock Raceway, where I know you've been. So tell the people watching in Portmarnock how you got started in harness racing, please.
Back when I was a kid, I worked for my neighbors doing their landscaping work, and they had horses. And they would leave programs around and all, and you know, I'd pick up the program, and I started handicapping, and I was pretty good at it. So their son was a good friend of mine, and one day his mother asked us if we wanted to go down to the old Foxborough Raceway. So off we went, and that was it. I was taken right from the first horse I padded. So I started working summers at the track there as a groom, and it went from there.
Have Donald and Tag Murphy, have they had you using a pitchfork yet down at Baltimore?
No.
That's not your area these days. So, as I say, well, your association with Ireland is multifold, Bill. Not least of, you've been a generous sponsor to the Help Ourselves series, and some of that money has been siphoned into this weekend's event, which we're calling the Irish American Weekend, which we hope to grow in the coming years. We hope this will become a world-renowned event. We'll be doing a lot. We've invited Yannick Greengraff to come and drive. Yannick says he'll try to get over if he can fit it in the schedule. But, you know, to a small country in harness racing like Ireland, you'd be best known by some of your champions. Tell us a bit about Cattlewash, Maven, and maybe some of Reclamation, those type of horses. Tell us a bit about the good horses you've owned.
Well, probably the first good horse I owned was Gryffindor, and he was named for one of the schools in the Harry Potter movies. Gryffindor was a homebred. He was a son of Dragon again, and he finished fourth on the Little Brown Jug. We sold him right after that. I sold him to a couple of partners before the race, and then we sold him outright after the race, and he went on and he won his last 4 or 5 starts. He beat Rock and Roll Hanover, went on to be the 3-year-old of the year, but Gryffindor beat him I think 3 out of 4 of their last races that they met as 3-year-olds. So that was my first experience on the Grand Circuit with a horse that I bred. Maven, I purchased her. She was a $36,000 purchase at the Lexington sale. She wasn't a big horse. She towed out a bit, and that's probably why she sold for $36,000. But she didn't know that she was small, and she towed out. She just went and did her job. She was not an easy horse to train. Jonas Zerneson broke and trained her and raced her at 2, 3, and 4. She had a mind of her own, and you know, thankfully Jonas had the patience required to help her along and make her a champion. Probably one of my most thrilling experiences as a horse owner was going to Sweden to see her race in the Elite Lopet. That was an outstanding race, and anyone who's never been there should go.
Where did she finish in the Elite Lopet?
She was second in one of the heats and 6th in the other heat. Yannick went over and drove her in that race.
He was telling us about it last night. I believe it's a tough place to go.
It is. It's you know, unfortunately, when she came back, that trip took quite a bit out of her. It took several months for her to recover. You know, it was a tough trip. I think that if you're going to race in the Elite Lot, you need to go over and race a start or 2 before that race. You know, she went over, I think, 2 or 3 weeks beforehand and never had a start there. And I think it was just tough for her to acclimate. The horses I've seen since then have gone over and raced.
You're better to acclimatize, in your opinion.
Yes, yes.
But tell me, Bill, to change the subject slightly, must be part of your Irish genes. You've never been scared to sell, never been scared to take a profit.
No. That's a lesson I learned early on. If you have an opportunity to make a profit in business, do so, and that includes the horses. The horses is a business. It's not a hobby. As much as I love it, it's still a business, and you've got to know when to sell.
Yeah, well, I always ask the old horse dealers over here when I interview them for the newspaper. I always ask them, was there ever a horse you couldn't bring yourself to sell? Has this horse been foaled yet that you couldn't part with?
No. No, I mean, Maven was tough. It was, to let her go. I didn't think I was going to do much breeding in the future when I decided to sell her. And, she set a record. She sold for $750,000. So, I think I made the right decision. And I did buy her first foal, a filly, who is a 3-year-old now. She hasn't been anywhere near as good as Maven, but she's got the genes in her. So hopefully, if I keep her and she goes into a breeding career, that she can reproduce that championship.
So, as a true Irishman, Bill, you would sell the shirt on your back.
Yes.
Good. So, just before we move off the subject of your great champions, maybe not as well known, but a great connection with Portmarnock, where we're speaking to you from today. Tell us a little bit about reclamation.
Reclamation, she very much like Maven, she was tough as a baby to break and train down. And Tag and Donald deserve much credit for having the patience, and that's the key to these young horses, is just having patience, and not expecting them to do too much until they tell you when they're ready. They took their time with her, and she showed flashes of brilliance in Ireland and Wales. She did race in Wales, won the Little Dragonass. But obviously, she was overshadowed by Robin Camden, who was the superstar. But when we shipped her back to the United States, she beat Robin Camden, and she held her own. She had some issues, soundness issues, a year ago, and we quit with her, and she's now in foal to cattlewash. So we're looking forward to that foal hitting the ground next year and hitting the racetrack in 2024.
Well, that brings us neatly on to cattlewash. Now, cattlewash, to people who are listening who aren't fully aware what happened, as I understand it, with your help, an initiative was set up where reduced price breedings, I suppose you could call them, to 3 great American studs, probably horses that were a caliber better than anything that's been in the British Isles so far, was arranged. In alphabetical order, they were Cattlewash, you're the principal owner. Sorry, alphabetical order,
Betting Line.
Don't know my alphabet. Cattlewash and Heston Blue Chip, isn't that correct? Now, yes. I'll be speaking later to the owners of Heston Blue Chip, and later tonight I'm speaking to Casey Coleman, who's involved in Betting Line. But tell us a bit about, do your sales pitch now. Tell us why Joe Sheridan in Dublin should send Spring Hill Talker to Cattlewash.
Well, it's too late now. He can't send them this year.
Will it be breedings next year?
Fully booked, but Cattlewash.
Will there be breedings next year?
I won't have control over that.
Right.
Cattlewash is there's talks underway to syndicate him.
Right.
So
you're dealing again, Bill. You're dealing.
Once he's syndicated, then I don't have the freedom that I had this year.
Right.
And he's going to race. He qualified last Friday at the Meadowlands. Last Saturday, he'll qualify again this Saturday. And
I believe he went 150 in a qualifier.
He did, yes. So.
And remind us again, what's his lifetime best?
He took a record last year. He equaled the world's record for 3-year-old paces in 146 and 4. It was held by some beach somewhere.
Held by his
his daddy some beach somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's watching. I don't want to forget he's watching.
Yes. Oh,
He
his watching also holds that mark.
Yes, yeah, he equaled it in the Meadowlands pace the year he raced at 3.
Okay. Well, before we move on to other subjects, what would you say are Cattlewash's greatest attributes as a racehorse?
He's very calm. He's a very intelligent animal, and he doesn't get flustered at all. I think that's what has impressed Ronnie Burke more than anything else about him. He just everything. He's just calm about it. He goes about and does his work. That's it. And his stallion career, the farm manager was just so pleased with his attitude. He comes in, they ship him over from the training center because he's still in training. He comes off the trailer, he does his thing, and he's back on the trailer in 15 minutes. And he's a perfect gentleman.
Well, it's good for the sport that a top class 2-year-old and 3-year-old is kept in training at 4. I think a lot of people nowadays tend to think that too many of these superstars get wrapped up in cotton wool and bundled off to one of the big farms at the end of the 3-year-old career.
Yeah, a lot of people over here, Jeff Corral, he tried to do something about that as far as giving incentives with the stakes programs like the Graduate Series, and also not allowing stallions that were tied at 3 Sound to have their foals race in the Meadowlands races, and Tioga and Vernon Downs, the 3 tracks that he controls. So, it's the money it makes it very difficult to say no to. I mean, when you have a horse like Tall Dark Stranger, I think he was valued just under $10 million. It's tough to say no. We're going to continue to race. I understand it on the one hand. On the other hand, it does detract from the sport. But so many horses come on at the end of their 3-year-old year as 4-year-olds that those voids are filled. There's some 4-year-olds out there. I mean, Cattlewash, he really came into his own the second half of last year. Hopefully he'll continue onward and upward from there. But there's a few 4-year-olds out there that weren't at the top of the class, but are showing they definitely have ability this year that they didn't show at 2 or 3.
A late maturing type. Well, but we'll ask you a bit now about another thing that's close to your heart. You've been a tremendous contributor to the Red John Memorial down in Lyre, down in your ancestral homeland in West Cork. Tell us about your plans for that meeting, Bill, and just give us a quick overview how you view the Red John meeting. You've been there, you enjoyed it, I take it?
Yes, the Red John meeting is very unique. Being out in the field, and it's just a completely different atmosphere than the racing that certainly we're used to in the U.S. It might compare to some of the fair racing, and even with the races in Fort Marnock, it's just a different element, and it's racing at its core level, I think.
It's the purest form of racing, isn't it? It's really, it's grass, if you can pardon the pun, it's grassroots racing, isn't it?
It's exactly. Yeah. It is. So, it's I've had friends come over and they've just thoroughly enjoyed the racing there.
It's a good credit to the committee down there as well.
Yes, they do an outstanding job. It's a lot of work involved for one weekend of racing, but they put their heart and soul into it the same way they put their heart and soul into their racing.
Everything, yeah. The Cork people are great people, a great heart for enjoyment, and any sport, whether it's football, hurling, golf, or trotting. Cork people really are great sportsmen. They throw their heart into it. Like the great folk song, "The Bold Katie Quill," about the great Cork sportsman. But tell me, to change the subject again, Bill, there's talk of building a hard track in the Cork region. What do you think of that plan, and what suggestions can you make to the IHRA and the Cork part of the IHRA? What can we do to make that happen?
Well, I mean, that was why I first became involved, because in talking with Donald Murphy and Finbar Quill, you know, they told me the difficulties that they had both in training and racing in West Ireland, West Cork, and I thought that if we could show that demonstrate at the Red John weekend that, you know, racing could be held very successfully, that would help them go to the powers that be in order to get the approvals and backing that they needed in order to build the track. You know, unfortunately, that has not happened yet. You know, I hope it does. My original commitment was a 5-year plan. Well, 5 years is over, so you know, we need to see some results over there. Yeah, you know, absolutely.
Well, you know, from your personal point of view, Bill, you can't do much more. I know you've good lieutenants on the ground there, Finbar Quill, Timmy Kelleher, Donald Murphy, people like that. They're good people, and Mark Flanagan, of course, our chairman. These guys are shaking the right trees. We've just been a bit unlucky. COVID came along, slowed things down. Brexit came along, slowed things down. There was a caretaker government in Dublin for a while. You haven't been very lucky, and your luck might change.
No, you know, hopefully, yes. I think that you know, COVID was definitely a kick that hurt them. I think that they were moving in the right direction, and you know, obviously the monies that the governments, not only in Ireland but throughout the world, have had to spend just trying to protect the people and to protect their economies. That, you know, racing at this point is kind of on the back burner, not only there but everywhere else. So
racing becomes less important when you see people dying from a disease. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just to get back to racing, one thing you've got in common with Donald Murphy is you like to pick your own babies. We hear at the sales, you like to pick your own yearlings, I believe. Is that the case?
Yes, you know, pretty much I do. I've had a little bit of luck with it. I've picked 8 world's champions so far. So
and many little brown jug runners up.
Yeah, I've had jug and jugette. Haven't won the race yet, but I finished second in both the jug and the jugette more than once. So you know, that still is something that I'm looking to conquer before I hang it up. And the Hamiltonian is even more important to me. You know, the Hamiltonian is the premier race.
Do you think you have a Grand Circuit type colt or filly this year? Feel anything good enough to go and compete for the house?
My 3-year-olds are horrible this year. Do you want to buy any?
Yeah.
My 3-year-olds are so disappointing this year. You know, I hope the 2-year-olds come on now. We're a couple of weeks away, but the 3-year-olds have not lived up to their billing.
Well, at least you're a realist, you know.
It is, but you know what? The key to this business, and too many owners and trainers make the mistake of keeping horses longer than they should. You have to know when to move them. You know, I said that earlier, and again, you know, with these 3-year-olds, there'll be for sale signs hang up on some of those stall doors in the next couple of weeks as
they say over here about the good old time trainers, their swans are never geese. Their swans are never geese, you know. So too many people think that their swans are that their geese are swans, isn't that right? Yeah. But listen, just guy we're all close to, a guy who'll be racing on the track this afternoon, Donald Murphy. Now, I've written often in my newspaper about the chance meeting between yourself and Donald and Finbar Quill at Harrisburg. I gather you were sort of looking over the railings at fillies and you bumped into them, and it turned out they come from the same part of West Cork as your ancestors. You know?
Where did you hear that story? That's not true.
Is that not true? Sorry, I started.
No, it's not. No. We were in a bar room.
In a bar room? That surprises me. Yeah.
Donald's probably telling that other story, but the truth of the matter is we were in the bar room at the hotel in Harrisburg, and I heard the Irish accent, so naturally I had to stick my nose in and find out who they were or where they were from, and that's where our conversation, we struck up a conversation and a friendship from there.
I thought you were looking over the railing at yearlings. 3 Irishmen in a bar, surely that can't be true. And I hope you were drinking water and Coca-Cola.
Well, you know, those two gentlemen are gentlemen. They're lightweights in comparison.
Right. Well, just give us a bit of a, at what stage did you realize that Donovan was the top class horseman that he is? You know, tell us some of the signs you saw that he was a great judge of a horse, and especially a great judge of a young horse.
The first, when I look at yearlings, I always have someone with me. You need a second set of eyes because, you know, especially when you're going from horse to horse to horse, you know, you can miss something very easily. And having that set of eye, you know, you look at things from a different perspective. You can look at the same, three people can look at the same horse and have three entirely different perspectives. So my farm manager, when I had a breeding farm, he was my point man when we go out to select the yearlings. And he took a job with Hanover Shoe Farms. So I needed someone new, and you know, Donald had impressed me with just our discussions about confirmation and all. And so I invited him to come over to the sale one year, and when he did, you know, he definitely has a tremendous eye, and to be able to see what not every horseman can see. So that's a huge asset to have.
Yeah, they say the sign of a horseman is to be able to look at a raw yearling or your raw 2-year-old and visualize how he look at 4.
Yes, exactly.
They say that's the sign of a horseman.
Don't they say that about wives too? If you want to know what she's going to look like 30 years from now, look at her mother.
They say that, but my wife's in the next room, so I'm not sure I can say that. You know, I better say that my mother-in-law is a supermodel. But listen, we're almost out of time, Bill. You've been very successful in business, and American harness racing is a multi-million-pound industry. Can you give the Irish industry any tips on how we could go about becoming self-funding or less reliant on? At the minute, we fund it ourselves. You know, since I've been 18, every week we race for prize money has been generated by the horsemen, and we very rarely get added money unless we get a major sponsor like yourself. What can the sport do to become less reliant on handouts and become more able to self-fund?
Unfortunately, I think that you're looking across the wrong sea. I think that you need to look to Sweden. I think that the way Sweden does their funding with being tied into the lottery system there to generate purse revenues is the best way to go. You know, we're in the United States, we're basically on welfare because the tracks are dependent upon the slot machines, because every track seems to have a casino, and you know, we're getting a percentage of the slot revenues to help supplement the purses. And you know, with governments the way that they are, I don't know whether you get the news over there about what goes on in the States with harness racing, but Florida is yes, decoupling. Yeah, I mean, you know, just an act of the legislature can destroy the industry in a state in a matter of days, and you know, that's what's happening in Florida. So hopefully the governor there vetoes that bill. But when you're totally dependent upon that handout, you don't have security and you can't have long-term success. And they've realized that in Ontario. You know, they learned the hard way, because they quickly learned when the province did pull the plug there that okay, you know, we're going to destroy this whole industry. So at least the government came back and they worked out a new plan where, you know, everyone has acknowledged the fact that racing has to become self-sufficient. So, you know, they're working hand in hand now to achieve that, and you know, have goals that have to be met. And that really is what needs to happen. Is that
well, briefly, Bill, would you be in favour of the introduction of a tote at Irish harness racing? How mutual? You know, do you think that would help Irish harness racing to fund itself?
I think it would, absolutely. And you know, I think that especially with your association and the involvement of the French there, I believe, from what I understand, that they would have the control of that signal going out of Ireland, that you know, that they would manage it, and they would get the biggest bang for your buck in making sure that signal got out internationally, that you know, that as much money would come from offshore as from in Ireland itself. So.
Okay, well, I know the IHRA are doing everything in their power to try and cultivate that relationship with the trot, and you know, that has been, in my opinion, a positive development too. And hopefully, maybe when we review this in 3 or 4 years' time, Bill, we'll have some progress to tell you.
Yes, hopefully you will. Hopefully you will.
Look, we're almost out of time. Do you want to pass on any parting message or any shot to the people watching us today at Portmarnock or on the IHRA website?
No, other than you know, I wish you all luck next weekend. From what I've been reading, and I think it's going to be an outstanding weekend of racing. So everyone should enjoy, and hopefully everyone gets a piece of the pie and goes home happy that day, happy and healthy.
Can you tell our viewers if any of the Donovan Murphy runners have a chance?
No.
Is that a state secret? It's a state secret, is it?
It is. It's a state secret.
Well, listen,
yeah.
For now, Bill Donovan, Slán agus Bannock. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Take care now.